Hello students, I Devatanand Gupta. Today I am going to take BST class and I am going to start chapter 3. In this chapter name is Private, Public and Global Enterprises. Before starting this chapter, I want to say about the previous chapter. In previous chapter we discussed about the different types and forms of private sector. But in this chapter we will discuss about the role, merits, advantage and suitability of the public sector enterprises. Then first, before starting this chapter, I am going to discuss about the role of private sector versus public sector since independence. Immediately after independence, Government of India nationalized so many enterprises and established many undertakings. The Industrial Revolution of 1948 and 1956 assigned dominant role of public sector enterprises, restricted the form of licensing system was introduced after the independence. Means any organization or enterprises is willing to start a business, they have to take or obtain license from the government. On expansion, in spite of restricted role of the private sector continue to grow and contribute in economic activity or development of our country. In spite of priority to the public sector, these sectors could not match with the economic development, because while all the enterprises was under the control of the public sector enterprises, but the economic development was unable to achieve at that level. Therefore, during 1991, the Government of India adopted the policy of liberalization. Liberalization means where private sector can exist side by side, and globalization. Globalization means entry of foreign enterprises into the Indian market. Then under this policy, the private sector was assigned an important role. Many entry barrier, means there are earlier it was entry barrier means licensing system you have to adopt for taking the license also. So many things requirement are there. Therefore, we can say that that barriers to the private sector were removed. The industrial licensing system was abolished except in certain cases, just like security and strategic concern. The area preserved from the public sector were reduced. The limit and expenses was raised by the amendment of the MRT. MRT means Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act. It was also abolished. Due to these changes, there is tremendous improvement in the Indian economic development with the entry of the private sector into the Indian economy. Then now it means that the role of private sector was good. Allowed to enter into the Indian economy after the 1991 liberalization and globalization period, after removing the trade barriers. Then, but there are certain roles of the private sector. Today we will discuss about the Indian economy, which is also known as mixed economy, where mixed economy means actually there are three types of economy are there: capitalist economy, socialist economy and mixed economy. Capitalist economy means that type of economy where private sector exists, and next one is the socialist economy. Socialist economy is that type of economy where only government sector or public enterprises exist in the economic development of the country. But mixed economy is that type of economy where both private sector and public sector will run side by side. There are two sector enterprises are there: public sector enterprises and private sector enterprises. But we have already discussed about the private enterprises, joint into family business, partnership business, joint stock company. Everything we discussed in the previous chapter. In this chapter we are going to discuss about the public sector enterprises only. There are three forms of public sector enterprises. First one is departmental undertaking. second one is public corporation, and the third one is the government company. Now let us discuss one by one about the public sector enterprises. First I am going to discuss about the departmental undertaking. Departmental undertaking is that type of departmental undertaking is that type of undertaking which is the oldest form of the public sector enterprises. The departmental undertaking is considered as the one of the department of the government. It has no separate existence. It means it has full function and control under the role of the ministry of department of or government. Here we can cite some example related to the departmental undertaking. For example, we can say railway, defense, post and telegraph, and telephone services, etc. There are certain services, enterprises are there which is under the direct control of the Ministry of Government or Ministry or Department of Government. Then next one is broadcasting. Broadcasting means advertisement and all, news media, these all come under the departmental undertaking. Now let us discuss about the features of departmental features, we can say characteristics of departmental undertaking. The main characteristics or features of the departmental undertaking is they operate under the control of one of the minister of central or state government. It can be a central also or it can be state under. If it is a central, then it will cover all the states in India, and if it is state, that is related to that state only. Then there are the part of the government only. There is no separate entity, means we cannot separate government and the enterprises separately. It will run under the control of the government only. Now third point, we can say that these are the finance from the annual budget, means every year during the February or month March, annual budget is set. From this annual budget only this departmental undertaking are financed. Now next point, we can say that the revenue of the departmental undertaking are deposited in the treasury of the government. Means whatever the earning will be there from this departmental undertaking and all, it will directly go to the treasury or deposit of the government. Now next point, we can say that the staff of the departmental undertaking are civil servant and are recruited on compensated as per the rules of central or civil servant. They are under the direct control of the departmental head and who is accountable to concerned minister. Now last case, we can say that they can be sued in the same manner as one can file a suit to the government also. Now let us go to the merits. Merits, we can say advantage also. Advantages of departmental undertaking. What are the advantages of departmental undertaking? First one, easy formation. Easy formation means it is very easy to form a departmental organization or undertaking as no registration is required. Means simply there is no registration process, that is why formation of this company is easy due to the direct control of the government. Now next point is effective control. As it is under the direct control of the government, the control on departmental undertaking is very effective and there is a direct control. No, there is indirect link between this and that. It is a direct control under the government and it is under the centralized. Then third one, we can say that optimum utilization of resources, means whatever the resources and funds has been given or sanctioned by the central government, it is used in an effective as subject to the ministerial concern as sanction, budget, accounting and audit control. Now this is the proper utilization of fund. Financial matter are subject to ministerial sanction and audit control is also done by the government. Now number 4 is accountability. Accountability means what? Accountability. Accountability means there is direct parliamentary control. The performance of department undertaking can be discussed in parliament. So there is public accountability. Public revenue, next point, the revenue of departmental undertaking is deposited in the treasury of the government, so that it helps to increase the revenue of the central government. Now next one is all the public revenue is deposited into the treasury of government. Then now secrecy. Secrecy means the activities performed by the departmental undertaking is highly secret, as government can avoid disclosure on the plea of the public interest, and due to the secrecy only the sensitive area, that is defense, is operating as a departmental undertaking. Means if it has so many advantages, it has easy formation, effective control, accountability, optimum utilization of resources, public revenue, secrecy, this all advantage it is there. But if someone is having advantage, then there is certain disadvantage also. Now let us go to discuss about the demerits of the departmental undertaking. First demerits of the departmental undertaking is inflexibility. Inflexibility means departmental undertaking works under the strict parliamentary control. There is no too much interference of the government or the minister or top official. That's why there will be the confusion, and the manager are unable to do changes, or too much inflexibility means one minister says certain things, so another minister say another intervention of another minister, there will be the problem while doing the departmental undertaking type of business. Now lack of motivation. Departmental undertaking have no power to utilize their revenue, as these deposits are in the treasury of the government. There is no incentive to maximize profit. There is no lack of motivation that one worker or employee will be motivated to, if they will perform in a good manner, in a better manner, then they will get extra incentive, this and all, it is not there. Therefore lack of motivation and all is missing from the departmental undertaking. Now inefficiency management. Inefficiency or inefficient management, we can say that the departmental undertaking are managed by the government official. These officials are overburdened with the paperwork. Due to the too much paperwork, they spend maximum time to answer the queries of the minister. Means some minister ask certain things, they are answering that queries, then they are drafting the message, they are sending them to, then they are doing this all matter. They can be transferred anytime. As a result, the sense of responsibility and efficiency is very less, because 1 year they are working in certain area, it can be transferred to another places, then he have to understand the area, the working environment, then when he adjusted again he is transferred to another places. That's why it is the main demerits of the departmental undertaking. And now what type of business is suitable under departmental undertaking? First one we can say about railway undertaking is a source of, means whatever the undertaking are there, it means it is the source of the government revenue. Means railway, aircraft, iron and steel, broadcasting, defense, these all type of business is suitable. Now in this video I discuss about the departmental undertaking, its meaning, features, merits, demerits, and what type of organization are coming under the departmental undertaking. Means railway, defense, post and telegraph, telephone services, etc. are coming under the category of the departmental undertaking. Okay. Thank you. This was for